Craig.
Hey, Jason.
What's up, man?
We got an awesome guest. Are you going to tell us about it?
Yes, we got 2 Comma Club e-commerce king Trey Lewellen, and he talked about the old insurance grind and his hustle to the top.
No way.
Let's do this.
Do it.
Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
All right. Do you guys want to officially start, or have we already officially started?
We just kind of chop these things up. If there's something funny, we throw it in there.
Perfect. All right, cool. So basically, let's see. When did I even go into that? So before insurance, actually, the reason I went into insurance was because I was an engineer. So I was an engineer, electrical engineer coming out of Rolla, Missouri. And I was 5 years college student. And I realized that I didn't want to be an engineer. And so my dad was actually an insurance agent. I saw that life he was able to provide for us. And I was like, man, that's pretty good money. Even though I never saw like his bank account, I never saw realistically his assets. I just saw the house that we lived in and the lifestyle he provided us, which that's the only lifestyle I knew. So I figured, hey, that's a pretty great lifestyle. And it was. So I was introduced to this guy who ran an insurance agency, and he also ran Papa John's restaurants. And so he was able to be an entrepreneur, and he did really well. There was another guy who was like the #1 guy of our kind of district in the agency that I was going to go under. And I was like, dang, like, again, nice car, never saw their house, but everybody talked big about him, right? So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's start this gig. And so I took the interview. You had to take this test, which pretty much says things like, they try to find out where your mind is, right? It's like, which one do you choose first? Do you choose money, family, or friends? Like, which one do you choose? And of course, the test wants you all money-based. So you got to throw all your morals out, right? And so I was like, money, what's more important? Is more important growing your business, or is it more important to make sure you're home at time? Well, growing my business. Yeah. And they said, because of the answers I gave, I was like one of the top. Like I didn't miss any of the thing. I didn't miss any of the test answers. Like I scored at the highest of highest levels that you could on this test, because it just showed my drive and where my mindset was. And that was, of course, a little coaching from my dad saying, just throw your morals out for this test. Like it's all be money. And so I got hired on as an agent. I took over a book. I didn't own the book, so I took it over. And it was a book of $600,000 a year. So I was making, so the picture they painted for me was, you'll make 60 grand a year. You get 10% of your book and whatever bonuses that you get after that. And so I was like, oh, fantastic. That sounds great. Let's rock and roll. 60 grand. That's exactly what I'm making in the engineering space. It's a very easy transition, because I'm going to grow that book and I'm going to be, making some real cash, like 100 grand or whatever. And man, I came in and I just like started going crazy. I started doing things that really raised eyebrows, because I made other agents look bad. So other agents in my area, I actually had another agent in my office, like sitting across my desk. And so it was really awkward when someone would come in the door and was like, hey, do you guys sell insurance? It's like, oh, well, we both do. But you don't realize that we're both have different separate books. So who are we gonna allow to take this referral, right? So we had to kind of do this little transition deal, which was kind of nonsense. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to give the same price as that guy, right?
Right.
Like he's got the same little calculator that I got on my computer, and there's really no difference. And so I'm out hustling. I find out that our best priced was not homes. It was not autos. It was our niche that I just happened to find within our industry was dwelling policies, which are like rental properties, and concrete and dump trucks. So I could quote a dump truck like ridiculously low, because we didn't have enough information, like our algorithms weren't good enough to properly insure and adjust the premiums. So we had crazy low rates. And so I was calling up dump truck offices and saying, hey, let me quote your business. And then I was doing dwellings, and how I did dwellings was interesting enough. Here's how I did it. So this was my idea of like starting to market, because I was a hustler. So I would go and grab the newspaper. Before that, I was buying leads, right? How many leads? You know, you got those stupid insurance leads where you pay like 25 bucks for a lead. You call it and they're like, you're the 10th agent to call me today.
Right.
I don't know what you guys are doing. I never signed up for this. This is bull crap. Take me off your list, right?
Yep.
And so it's like, what am I doing? Why am I paying these guys $25 for this, you know, this lead that's junk, obviously, and that like I would never get any quotes off that. So anyways, I found a way to get like 10 leads for $1. And I went and bought what's called a newspaper at the local gas station. And in the back of that newspaper was dwellings, rentals, right? Hey, you know, if you're looking to live in the Clayton area or the Chesterfield area or whatever area, you know, here's the address for the rental. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, right? $700 a month. Sweet. So I'd go get the newspaper, highlight them all, cut them all out, and I'd call those numbers. And I'd always leave voicemails. Landlords never picked up. I was like, hey, this is Trey. I'm interested in, you know, 1714 Broadway. Give me a call back. Bloop. That's what I'd say. I would say 90% of them called back. And I needed 4 pieces of information to give them a quote. The 4 pieces of information was the address, which I already had. What is it? What's it made of? Is it brick or is it whatever? Like, it's been so long now. Whatever the outside was, siding, and then how much is the house worth? And there was one other piece of information that I always had to get. It was like 4 things. So anyways, they would call and they're like, yeah, you're interested in the Broadway house. I was like, yes. By the way, is it siding or is it brick outside? They're like, oh, it's brick. I was like, perfect. And I said, you know, what was the other thing? I forgot what the other thing was. It's in the city limits or whatever, or maybe it's the county. And then the last thing was, well, what do you think the house is worth? And they'd always be like, why do you know that? And I'm like, oh, because I'm almost done with your insurance quote. And they're like, my insurance quote? I was like, yeah, all I need left is that is the price of the dwelling, and I can have that price to you right now. And they're like, I didn't know this was a. Okay, well, $70,000. And I'd say, okay, perfect. Hit that button. And it looks like I can get you, you know, a $70,000 house for a year of like $230. Like, we had the cheapest rates in dwellings for a year. And it always raised their eyebrow. And they're like, really? That sounds really low. Are you sure? I'm like, dude, that's what we're good at, man. That's like our premium product. And then what that would create is a ripple effect. So then they would instantly say, well, give me a quote on this address. So I'd type in 4 things. All right, dude, that's going to be like $320. Give me a quote on this. So I had a guy, this is my biggest, like I blew up the book by this strategy. So I made these phone calls and you would get whales. Like, I would find whales within this newspaper who had like 40 and 70 properties. And I would go and quote and take over their entire business. And what started to happen was I started to overlay against other agents' books. And they saw me as this young 24 hustler because I was going out and doing the work, right? I was like, dude, I'll meet you down at the gas station right now. Like, where you at? And they're like, dang, my agent doesn't do that. I was like, oh, who do you got? And they would say they have the same insurance agency as I was. I was like, oh, I said, yeah, you need to talk to your guy because like that's overlay. Like, we don't steal business. And they're like, dude, he doesn't call me. He doesn't come out to me. He's not aggressive like you. And so, of course, as you guys know, transferring business is a whole headache for agents, not for the consumer, because it's like this fight, this battle. And so, dude, I was making like crazy waves and uproars within the agency. So all the agents hated me because I was just coming in and just taking over. So that was happening.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that was my type of marketing. So then I read this book, which is The 7 Levels of Communication by Michael Mayer. This book changed my insurance business because I read this book. It's a step-by-step guide of doing real estate, but then all you do is say, instead of real estate, you say insurance, right? And it teaches you how to do networking and referral magic and all this kind of stuff and like build this rapport against like all your consumers. So I started writing emails out to my customers. And I would just, all it was a story base. So I'd tell them a story about how we saved this dude's boat, or how this lady had an accident and we totally like covered all her expenses, and sent all these emails. And then I started posting it to Facebook. So I posted these stories to Facebook. Phone calls were coming in extremely hot. Like, that was my best referral system. And one day I get that wonderful call from the CEO of the company. And he goes, and it's on a freaking Friday of all days. And he's like, hey man, we need you to come in to headquarters, which is about an hour and a half, from where I was. We need you to come into headquarters on Monday. Just got a couple things we need to talk about. Cool. What do you want to talk about? I'd rather discuss that on Monday. Sweet. So you're not going to tell me what we're going to talk about? No, I don't want. So I have to go the whole weekend to like, and that's what the games we would play. They're like, oh, we're just strategizing, like make them freak out for the next 2 days. And so I couldn't sleep. And Monday I get there and I'm sitting down in the CEO. I have no clue. I don't know if I'm getting a bonus or getting fired. Right? Like, I know I'm hustling. I know I'm making business. I know I'm doing big things. Well, what come to find out is they have all this stuff on their desk and they're like, hey, you've been writing these stories on your Facebook page. I was like, absolutely. It gives me tons of referrals. And they're like, well, looks like you got a YouTube page where you're in your car driving and doing videos. I was like, yeah, that's what you do to become an authority figure and build awareness. Yeah, we can't have any of that happening. I was like, why? Because our marketing team absolutely sucks. Like, we're using Ben Franklin tactics of the 1700s to try and I'm here trying Facebook. I don't know if you guys know what that is, Instagram, and trying to put stories out there on YouTube to build my business. That's what I'm here for. Isn't that what we're here for, guys? Yeah, but we just can't be doing the stuff. Like, you can't be saying this stuff. I was like, well, then what do you need me to do? You want me to put it through legal or something? They're like, no, you can't do any of it. And anything that you post on Facebook has to be approved through legal and has to be approved through our marketing team. I was like, our marketing team sucks. She's 60 years old. She needs to be fired. She needs to, we need new material in here. Like, it's not working. Like, we're not going to build the business the way it needs to be built. And, so I was like crazy, just pissed. And so.
And what year was that?
What's that?
That's what I was thinking.
What year was that?
Oh, I don't know. Like 8 years ago.
Okay.
And so whatever that is, 2000.
A little bit earlier. Okay.
Right? 2011. So yeah. So then I go back home. I'm all like mad because basically they're controlling everything, right? They control the marketing, they control the price, they control the product, they control the service, they control everything, except for me being an agent trying to go find business through like something called BNI, which is Business Network International, which that's a whole conglomerate of a scam, if you ask me. And then you got the Chamber of Commerce, which is also probably similar. So it's like all these little tactics that are out there that you go do this, go do that. And it doesn't work the way it should work or the way people say it works, which is why I was ready to market hard. And so I came back from that meeting understanding that we weren't on the same boat. We were not on the same page. And it was that moment that I'm like, all right, it's time to do things for me, because I was fighting for them. I was all in. I was like, I'm going to build your business, right? And instead of putting me down and like saying this stuff isn't going to work, like you can't go do this, what they should have said is, wow, these are really interesting techniques. We've never thought about this before. How do we add this to our marketing and show all the other 1,400 agents how to market like you're marketing, because it seems like it's getting you more business. Absolutely. Right. But they didn't want
You're getting results, right? You're getting the results. Now let's work backwards and reverse engineer, because it's working.
Yeah, well, he was, I don't know, he was busy playing on his phone or something that day. Like, he didn't understand the concepts. And so, anyways, I come back, I'm like, I gotta do stuff for me, because I have, like newborn on the way, like it's game time. So I start looking for different strategies, different techniques of how to make money online, or how to make money in general. And I don't even know how it came about. Oh, I know. Someone gave me this book, which was The 4-Hour Work Week. And I read that book. It's not even on here. The 4-Hour Work Week was the book that changed my trajectory of my life, because Tim Ferriss, he showed me that I could probably work my insurance gig 4 hours a week and do something, a side hustle, by making money. And he showed me through that book, like, you can actually go out and make money online through this thing called Google, or this thing called Yahoo, and by the stores, and like all this kind of weird stuff that I didn't even know existed, right? It was so new and so fresh. And it also talked about hiring assistants for like $3 an hour in India, which I was like, holy smokes. So I went and started doing that. I started having these guys buy the newspapers online, sourcing my leads. And then and then I had my assistant do the leads. I hired somebody else to do that stuff. So it looked like the business was running, but realistically, I wasn't running it anymore. It was just kind of happenstance, right? I'd show up at the office, make myself present, but realistically, I wasn't in the game anymore. I had pulled myself out of the game. I wasn't there. And I started learning how to do leads. So I knew I couldn't do leads for insurance, right? Because they have all this technology that was, looking for my fan pages and looking for the name of the company that I would type in. And so if I did that or did an ad about it, pretty much they would have me within probably about 2 days. And so I was like, well, if I can't get leads for these guys for my own self, I might as well create leads for another industry, such as real estate agents or home inspectors or loan officers. And so that's the day I started. And I started creating leads for loan officers. And I generated so many leads, it was unbelievable. And I got up to, I think, 10 loan officers. I got up to 10 loan officers at $2,000 a month. So I'm making 20 grand a month. And my insurance business was paying me $3,000 a month after expenses, after taxes, after my assistant costs, after my, whatever overhead. So that 60 grand, right, actually was like probably around 25 grand, frankly, because after all expenses. So I was, I was living in not a good life, right? But I had to pretend that I was living a good life. Like, fake it till you make it is what the name of the game was for myself and I think a lot of other agents as well. So I had all this it's hilarious. I had all this recording stuff in my office, which totally has nothing to do with insurance. Looks like your guys' studios, right? You guys got the mics, you guys got like all this cool stuff. And I remember my district sales manager walking in one day unannounced, and I am on a marketing call with my loan officers. So I got 10 loan officers on this call that are paying me $2,000 a month, teaching them how to build these leads, like how to make things happen. And I remember looking behind me, and it was a lady. I remember seeing my district sales manager kind of peeking through the door, like, hey, do you have time to talk? And I was like red-faced, because I was like, dang, I'm caught red-handed, because I can't get off this call because they're paying me great money, right? I can't be like, oh, guys, sorry, my other job's calling me. And I got my district. So what do? I was like, mute. I'll be with you in like 45 minutes. And I totally like blew her off. And I was like, do the thing. I'm in my office. I should have done it from home, but I was, whatever, too naive. And so she's like, oh, okay, shuts the door. And I just go back to it. I was like, well, there that was. And I was caught. So the next week I emailed her and I said, because I'm making 20 grand over here. I'm making $3,000 over here. There's so much work in the insurance industry that you have to do the quotes and try to chase, and like you're chasing money versus money coming into you. And that's what I totally hated about the insurance industry, because everybody's out chasing the same people, and they're price quoting, right? Yeah, I'm an agent. That's cool. I'm hustling, but at the end of the day, people aren't willing to pay $300 more a year in order to service me, right? They'd rather be like, I'll go with this guy over here. He's $300 less. I don't care if he's a Joe Schmo. I'm not paying $300 more just to have you. Totally makes sense. Totally get it. That's why I never sell homes and homes and cars. And so anyways, you guys loving this?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
This is my life. Like, I'm giving you guys so yeah, I haven't brought this up. This is like bringing like past memories in. It's all coming in.
PTSD.
Are you a little agitated?
All coming, dude. I was like, yeah, I'll tell you all the real stuff, because I have nothing to do with them anymore. And I'll tell you a funny story after all this. But anyways, we were there, and I'm like, yeah, you got to go away. And I emailed, I was like, hey, we need to talk. We need to have a conversation. And she's like, okay, let's have a conversation. So I sit her down at a bread company. We sit down across, and I go, listen, I don't think that we're on the same page anymore, and that this probably isn't good for us. So I'm leaving, and I'm out. But I'll tell you what is, I know, like, my dad, I don't want, put my dad in a bad spot. I'm his son. Like, he gave me this job in a way. So what I'll do is I will work this book for the next month to month and a half for you guys. Like, I'll keep it up and running. I'll keep it running smooth, everything like that. Don't have to worry about anything, because I know it takes time to find an agent to put them in an office. And the people that are my customers, obviously, they're going to want an agent. And so they agreed. They said, okay, perfect. So I put in a 1 month notice. I said, I will leave in a month and a half. Okay, perfect. Sign and date. 3 weeks go by, and I'm just working the business, and I'm in the office doing my thing, and all of a sudden, my district sales manager walks in, and my regional manager walks in. And I was like, what's up? What are you guys doing here? Like, I'm here, obviously, unlike the dude who, maybe you should check the other guy. He's never here. Yeah. But I'm here working your book. Like, I'm an honest person, right? And they sit me down, and he's like, hey, man, we got some news. I was like, well, what's the news? And he's like, well, today's going to be your last day. I was like, hold up. So are you firing me right now? He's like, yeah, we're firing you. I was like, did you not get the memo that I already quit? Like, how are you firing me and I just quit? Like, this doesn't, I'm just confused. And they're like, well, we just need all your stuff out of here. And I was there for 3 years, and in 3 years you get to keep the desk because you prorate whatever the desk. And I'm like, all right, no big deal. I'm taking the desks, and they're going with me. And they said, okay, you got to have them out of here by 5 o'clock tonight, because we're changing the locks on the building. I said, like, what am I gonna come in and steal? Like, wouldn't you have thought that I'm gonna steal it today versus like tomorrow anyways? Right. So they're like, yeah, we're going to change the locks on you. I was like, okay, change the locks on me. Woo. And I go get a U-Haul, and because I just left, I was like, I'll just go get a U-Haul, come back. I load up the desks, and I was like, good riddance. I take a picture and I put it to Facebook. I said, it's been real. That's all I said. Like, it's a U-Haul in front of this building with their logo on it. And I was like, it's been real, bros. And I'm out, right? Deuces. And I took the desk. Funny story was they tried to change the locks, but they got yelled at by the landlord because the building was owned by a corporate bank, and the landlord does not allow the change of locks because they can't change the locks without their authority. So they had to wait like another week to even get those locks changed. So they're like freaking out that I'm going to come in and like bombard this office or something like that. I could give two shih tzus to do that. But anyways, so I get done. I go do my thing. Loan officer turns into the world that I have today. Thankfully, like, I left that place because their minds are still in the Benjamin Franklin of technology. It's ridiculous. So a year goes by. And I had some aggression, against them, because I was like, how can they fire me? Like, I quit. Like, screw you guys. I'm here to help you. Like, it was just a mess. And I'm at a piano bar, and we walk in. It's like, and this is in St. Louis. Headquarters is an hour and a half away, so 100 miles away. And I walk in this piano bar, and I look across the bar, and it's the freaking CEO that didn't want me in there anymmer. And oh man, I was like, all right, now's my chance. Like, I can go deck him. Like, I'm just going to go over there and deck the dude. And because, like, what's it matter? Like, it's just like, I'm already fired. I'm gone. Like, this is going to feel great. And I'm sure some agents will be like, woohoo, like, rah me on. And so anyways, I'm like pacing. I'm like, all right, how am I going to, whatever. I'm just going to go up and just knock this guy out. And then I was like, it's probably not the best of decisions. And so I was like, I probably shouldn't do that. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go up and just be super nice. Just the opposite of what he's probably, whatever. And I just went up there and I was like, hey, man, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for showing me the life that I didn't want. And that's pretty much what I said. And, you know, his response was, which I give him credit for, because he goes, Trey, in all honesty, you were 10, if not 20 years ahead of where we should have been. He goes, you were outpacing us in the technology world by 10 to 20 years. We couldn't keep up with where you were wanting to go. And unfortunately, you know, it wasn't a good fit. And I was like, damn, like, thank you for that. That was really nice of you. And 2 months ago, so today, 2 months ago from today, this company has a corporate meeting. My dad is still in those meetings. And I have friends or agents that are kind of still in those meetings. And the marketing team, still the 60-year-old lady who needs to probably be in a wheelchair by now, it comes in, she's like, all right, we got this great idea. Here's what we're going to do is we're going to launch Facebook ads and Facebook pages. And all the agents are like, yeah, that's been around for I don't know how long, right? And my dad gets 2 notes simultaneously handed to him by 2 other agents. And both the notes say, isn't this what Trey was doing 8, 9 years ago? Yes, it was what I was doing 8 to 9 years ago from the start. So they now 9 years later, they are just starting to do what I was doing 9 years ago when we said, you know, when we parted our ways. So was insurance good? Yeah, it paid the bills. It made things happen, but I'm glad I left. I'm glad I'm gone because I control everything. I control the product. I control the price. I control the service. I control the face. I control the company. Like I control everything. And if it fails, it's because of me. It's not because of somebody holding me back.
Yeah, and I think that some people like that security, but somebody who wants to be free and has those ideas and wants to push it, it might not be the right avenue. Which brings up a good point. Like, where did you go after that? And like, how can an agent take it to the next level like you did?
Dude, so what's nice is, here's how I did it, is because my grandfather always said, don't quit your day job until you got another job. Right?
Right.
Like I remember my dad quitting a job and my grandfather was super upset because he didn't have another job to replace it. And that's what you have to understand about this story is I had an overlap, right? I already had built another business up to 20 grand a month where this business was only paying 3 grand. So it made sense to move anyways. It made sense to put all my attention, all my energy into this new business when this other business isn't even paying. Like it's more headache. It was more headache to deal with a $3,000 a month job than it was for me to work 2 hours a week on a $20,000 a month job. And I got it all. I got all of it. It wasn't, I didn't get 10% of it. I got all of it. Right. And so that's the big, you know, epiphany here is I had a bridge. So I had a way to go. I built a system. I had people wanting to do business with me and ready to flow. And that's the big takeaway is, you know, I didn't just quit and I just get fired. Like I was actually working other businesses and other assets that I had in play that was actually paying me on a monthly recurring business.
Which is key. And that's what this day and age that we have the opportunity to do. We have 24 hours in the day. You can do it at night. You can do it anytime. So where did you go?
As an insurance agent, dude, you got all day to do that stuff.
Yeah. Unless to your point, I think those smaller agencies, the ones that are making 3 grand a day, it's like you can't hire anybody on that. So it's like, or three grand a month. So you're just, I mean, you're hustling, and it's talk about red ocean. It's like, dude,
you look up Google. This is I use this in a lot of my speeches. Is a lot of people like the stuff I teach them, like e-commerce or lead gen or, you know, selling of products, and they're like, oh man, isn't this niche saturated? Like they're going in the baseball niche and they might be going in the gardening niche. They're like, oh man, is the gardening niche like saturated? I was like, have you ever Google searched maps, like Google searched insurance agent of St. Louis or of Arizona and zoomed in? It's a chicken pox. Like the map has chicken pox of how many red dots there are. and you think your niche is saturated? I made a living on chickenpox in a zoned area, because I hustled harder, right? Like I worked harder. It's the same reason as the guy in the gym, right? You're at the gym, you're at the same gym. The dude over there that has, fit muscles, he's just more committed than you.
Right.
End of the day.
That's true. Yep. So true. So you started with lead gen, and then you moved into e-commerce.
I totally did. Yeah, absolutely. So I was doing what's called a done for you service with the loan agents. So I was doing it all for them. I was doing the leads. I was doing the lead gen. I was doing the Facebook ads. I was doing the opt-ins. I was doing the research. I was doing like everything, optimization, which is cool. I mean, it was worth 20 grand, right? Like I'll take it. And then I had an epiphany, like probably 6 months after the insurance gig and 6 months into doing loan officers. That's all I was doing, which I was cool with. But I had an epiphany, which was, do I want to do this the rest of my life? Do I want to drive loan officers leads? Like, am I really passionate about that? And the answer was deep down, no. Right. And so I fired all of them. I said, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. I told the universe, I was like, universe, this isn't for me. I'm done with this. Like loan officers, it's just not a cool gig. I'd rather just build my own business and then maybe sell it someday. It's kind of cool. And that day, this is how the universe will play tricks on you, such as like, man, I don't want to, like maybe you guys are saying, man, I don't want to be an insurance agent anymore. I'm going to go do what Trey does. Or maybe, hey, maybe I should hire somebody because I want to build my insurance agency, or maybe I want to go do something else. Anyways, so I said, I don't want to do the loan officer stuff anymore. Told the universe that. I'm gone. I'm out. Firing my peeps. And I get a call the next day, and it was from, I believe, Cricket Loans. And Cricket Loans, I think it was like the regional manager or like the vice president. It was like somebody way up there. And he's like, hey, Trey, been watching your YouTube videos. I was like, no joke. That actually works, huh? He's like, been watching your videos. I said, yeah, those create awareness. And he's like, I really like what you're doing for the loan officers and the lead gen, and the prices that you're getting for leads is just like top notch. I said, that's because we're cutting all the middlemen out. Like I'm creating unique leads for loan officers. They're not getting calls for 10 of these guys. He goes, I want to bring you on to 10 of our locations starting next week. And I have a check right here, right now, for $10,000 with your name on it to send it to you.
Cool.
All right. So now I had a path, right? I had a decision to make. I just told the God or the universe that I don't want to do this anymore. And now this guy's calling me saying, I got a $10,000 check.
That's awesome.
And I knew I was being tested. And I said, unfortunately, I've made different choices. I'm not doing the loan officer stuff anymore. And I denied it. I denied the check. And I moved on to building an e-commerce store, an e-commerce site for myself and my brother. And Bryceland, who's about 7 years younger than I am, was in the police academy, meaning he was getting his certifications to become a police officer. And my biggest thing was, well, that's cool. You can run lights and have fun and play with guns all day. But I'd rather you not be a police officer. Why not we build a business together? And I remember it took me like 6 months to convince this dude that we were going to make money online. And I was like, listen, you're going to make 40, 50 grand a year doing a police officer job. If I can at least just pay you that, will you not become a police officer? Because I don't want to see you come home in a coffin. Yeah. And he's like, well, what would we do a business on? And I was like, I don't care. Like I'm passionate about marketing and optimization and building funnels. And I know you're passionate about guns and police and all that stuff. And I said, well, let's just do a page about guns. And so that's what we did. We created a company called ILMG, which stood for, at the time, I Love My Glock. But then we had a learning lesson where we got a cease and desist letter from Glock saying you can't use our name. And we're like, oh, sorry. And luckily, G&G, right? So we went from I Love My Glock to I Love My Gun. So just kind of worked out for our corporate name.
Nice.
And we switched it all up. We thought we were going out of business that day because all our shirts were Glock shirts and we're making a killing. And we didn't know it was against the law to go against trademark infringement. And so, or, whatever that, trademarks. And so we had to like rebuttal and kind of go back and say, okay, well, how do we create shirts without the word Glock or without the word SIG or without the word Beretta? Like, we didn't know how to do that. So we had to learn, we had to educate. And I started investing myself into mentors and education and still do that to this day. I was spending money that I did not have in education. I was spending money that I didn't have into mentors. And I'm not talking big numbers. I'm talking, $2 to $8 grand a year is what I was spending in mentors because that's what I could afford. That's what I could afford. And I put it on a credit card, not knowing where to get it back, but the investment in the mentors outpaid themselves. I made my investment not only back, but tenfold because of the knowledge, the education, the pieces of the puzzle that they gave me to take my business to the next level. And just last year, 2018, I think we tallied up like $150,000 in mentors. So I went from, spending $2 grand to $8 grand a year to now we spend anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 in mentors and education just to keep to the next level, right? Like there's that next level. Like there's a guy down in Miami, Florida right now on a freaking $24 million yacht. I want to be at that level. There's a guy in the air right now on a $30 million private jet. I want to be at that level. So to get to those levels, you got to climb the stairs, right?
Right.
And so I'm just in my way climbing those stairs. And I started at $2 grand mentors. Now we're at $200,000 mentors. Next one's probably $1 million mentors, right? Just to get up to those next higher levels.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. And this is it's such a crazy story. So for people that don't know the level of e-commerce you're at now, maybe they'll, that don't know you, can you talk about like some numbers that you guys are doing, or at least like the scale of where your business is at now?
Yeah, of course. So basically, we've actually sold it. So I don't know if you guys do that. We actually sold a good portion of the business off. So we don't really have that business anymore. So it was a cool 3-year run. So to give you an idea, we built the business from scratch. So that was starting in 2015 or 16. And we sold t-shirts, and we did about $1 million. Let's see. No, we did $2 million in t-shirt sales. We profited about $1 million in t-shirt sales. That awesome. Was the first kind of year. And I remember there's a picture of me somewhere. We were running teespring.com, and we were running so much traffic on Facebook. It was just unbelievable. Where I was outspending there was a Facebook limit. I was outspending my Facebook limit, which was like I think $1,000 a day. And then I was outspending my credit card limit, which was I think $2,000 for the month. Right. So, yeah. So we had to pay off our credit card and then reset our Facebook ads. So like Facebook ads were going up and down. Cause it'd be like, oh, your card declined, traffic goes away. And then we have to wait for the next day for our credit card to reinitiate because the payment would go away, and then it bounced back. And so anyways, we could have sold a lot more during this time, but we got to this month of April. In April, we had this shirt that just went bonkers. It was a blockbuster hit, as they would say as seen on TV. So it was a blockbuster shirt, and it just hit what I like to call the jet stream. So, when you get up, the jet like takes all that momentum, all that inertia to get up to that jet stream. And then once it's in the jet stream, it flows. Right. Have you guys watched Finding Nemo?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. It's kind of like Finding Nemo when they're with the turtles.
Yeah.
Right? They're in the turtles. They're in the Atlantic current. They're just like flowing. They're like, yeah, man, it's chill. And then like Nemo pops out. And he's like, whoa, he goes away because he's not in the freaking current. That's what the jet stream feels like. Like you hit it. It's like, holy smokes, we've hit like this just amazing rush. And we have it was the night of, this is when Teespring had campaigns that ended, which was the worst idea they could have ever thought of. But we have it on the screen. We have 3 hours left, and the screen in my living room is refreshing. And we're just watching, I would say, I don't know, it was like 10 shirts. We were selling 10 shirts a minute. Like it was just wild. It was like 10 shirts. And we're watching our profitability just go and go and go. And we did, for that month, we did $117,000 in t-shirt sales. We sold over 6,000 shirts, I think, that month, just of like a majority of like just one design. And it just skyrocketed. It was like, wow, that's what that feels like. That was crazy. And, you have to celebrate your wins. And I think that's a big thing here is no matter if we sold 3 shirts on month 1 or if we sold 5,000 shirts on month 7, we celebrated our small wins, right? Because if you can't celebrate your small wins, how do you expect yourself to celebrate your big wins? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So every win we got, don't matter if it was a small win or a big win, we were celebrating, right? We're celebrating. We're toasting. Maybe it's go out to Dairy Queen and have a little ice cream, but take a moment to celebrate. Hey, we just launched our first podcast. Let's go out to Dairy Queen and get a burger. Let's celebrate and take a moment to celebrate that launch of the podcast. Right?
Yeah.
So the same thing here, right? We launched it. We had fun. We toasted some champagne, and that was the new marking of selling on e-commerce. We figured out how to sell T-shirts. And then from there, from the T-shirt world, we started seeing comments come in. They're like, hey, man, you guys have such great T-shirts, but I've bought the last 10. And my wife says, I can't buy any more T-shirts. And we saw that our T-shirt sales were actually starting to go down. I was like, crap, what do you do now? Well, we moved into the physical product space. And this was kind of before AliExpress and Alibaba. This was, start of the new times. And it's like, how do you get a hold of China? How do you import product? What's that even look like? Now, AliExpress and Alibaba have come a long ways to import product, but this is kind of before that. And so we're looking at how do we import product? We start selling physical products online. That 2 years later, we had another big blockbuster hit, which obviously outdid our T-shirts. We had like 3 products that just really exploded up. We did over, I think, $30 million in that year of sales, just through all of our product sales and membership areas, and just built the company up to things that were just at astronomical proportions.
Yeah,
which was really cool. And that was through physical products. So physical products. But here's what's crazy is that $30 million year, $30 million, which is just a crazy number.
It's a big one.
$30 million would not have happened if I didn't quit my insurance gig. And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't fire my loan officers. And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't start the T-shirt world and go all in. A guy we had here at the Mastermind in March, he got up in a speech and he told me something really cool. He goes, one thing that I've realized about myself is no matter where I'm at, no matter how driven or how big my company is, I'm not afraid to go to zero. You see, a lot of us are afraid to go to zero. We're afraid to see our bank account pull back versus go forward. You got to think of as your bank account as a slingshot. You have to invest in yourself, invest in mentors, invest in knowledge, pull that slingshot back. And then once you do and gain that knowledge and education of how, I see it now, I see the vision, boom, slingshot goes, and you pull forward.
I like that. Yeah.
That's the hugest, biggest thing, right? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I do. Like I just paid 2 weeks ago, a guy $28,000. I paid him $28,000 cash. I said, I need to learn how to sell from stage in 2 days. Because in a week, I'm going to go sell from stage a product. It's a $10,000 offer. And for $28,000, I flew out to Florida. He had a 2-day event. I learned how to do it. He showed me the techniques, showed me the strategies, showed me the principles, showed me exactly what to do. And then 1 week later, so I'm talking like literally 5 days, I flew to the event, gave the speech, and we did $100,000 in sales. So that $28,000 was
worth it. Yeah.
Sling back. Was it worth it? Absolutely.
4 times. Yeah. Well,
right?
Yeah.
I quadrupled my money.
Yep.
So like $25,000 became 100. Now though, understand this, is that $28,000 did not only represent the $100,000. It represents the knowledge that I inherited. No one can steal that knowledge from me for the rest of my life. So I can go speak on hundreds of stages in front of hundreds or thousands of people and repeat that process that I paid $28,000 for.
That's awesome.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it does. So talk about post, you sell the business. What are you doing now? Because I'm sure a lot of people by this point are like, Dude, I want to learn a little bit more about Trey. What's he up to? So what are you doing now?
So I got like 4 companies that we're running. We still got a little portion of the NGA. We run that. We do the membership side for those guys. I got, Trey Lewellen companies where we show people who are interested how to build funnels, how to start a business, like how to build a database. With the NGOA, we built our database from obviously 1 contact, which is probably my name. I started, to 1.7. I think we're about to hit 1.8 million contacts within that company. Wow. So that's a lot of people. Just to give you like a really cool, like wrap your mind around the number of that.
Yeah.
When you get to 10 million people in a database, by the way, like insurance, right? Like let's think insurance, you probably have a database of like 2,000 people or 3,000 people that are paying you, right?
Right.
My database is 1.7, almost 1.8 million people. Okay. Think of the leverage that you have nationwide, of course. And just to give you an idea to wrap your head around that, when you have a database of 10 million people, all right, a database, this is how this pays dividends. Database of 10 million people, and I press send. When I press the button send, right, 1 button, boop, I will reach 3% of the United States.
Wow.
My message will be in 3% of the United States. So what's that mean? That means I have crazy power and leverage. Let's talk about elections. So let's say Hillary calls me up and says, hey, I call her up. I call her command and say, hey, I can reach 3% of the United States with a click of a button. Do you want to pay me to send an email representing you and saying that we're all for you? Pay me $100,000 to do the button push, right? Or probably $200,000 for that much. So $200,000, and let's say she says yes. Okay, $200,000 to say yes. My next phone call goes to the Trump administration. Hey guys, just want to let you know, little birdie, Hillary is going to write us a check for $200,000 to push a button. Do you want to pay us $250,000 to not push that button and rather push it for you?
Nice.
You see what I'm saying?
Is this a real scenario? Is this something that might have happened?
This is real scenarios. Absolutely. Who do you think's on our list? Gun owners, right? Who do you think they support?
That's true.
But we're an authority figure. So they respect us. They know who we are. We give them very trustworthy service and content. So for us to say, here's the reasons why you should vote for this person, or here's the reasons why you should vote for this person, they're most likely going to think about it a little harder. They're like, wow, this is becoming from a respectable person. That's why influencers are so big, right? I should really respect this guy. And really, maybe he's telling me something that I'm not aware of right now. And so of course it's a very real thing. Absolutely.
That's awesome. And it's kind of refreshing to hear this side of it, because you do hear so much about influencers and they're getting on, you see so many people trying to get internet famous. That's not necessarily business backed. So it's pretty cool that you have more of a tangible business side of it, where you don't have to be out there. You are out there, but you're not like plastered. Like that isn't what's driving the business.
Right. Yeah. We got a face, we got a name, we got that going on. Like we have a lot of fun with it, right? We're doing a lot of things. We got our hands in a lot of pots. Like we just keep getting bigger. And what I see myself with is just kind of being behind that curtain and being the machine that drives the business. So what I'm finding now is we're starting to plug ourselves into some pretty heavy companies, to where we come in and we say, hey, here's what needs to be changed. Here's how we can influence the company. And here's how we can turn the needle that actually turns the needle to profitability. And so we can plug in our systems and our principles and our techniques, and they see a massive change to their business, right? Just because they're using different techniques of systems.
The old Benjamin Franklin.
The Benjamin Franklin, man. Like he's on the $100 bill, but that's about all he's good for right now.
Yeah, that's true. So for agents out there, what are some of the programs that like they can get into to kind of start their side hustles, or what are all the programs that we could get involved?
So what's cool with you guys is I wish I didn't even, do you realize like when I changed, there was no podcast. Podcasts weren't a thing. There was no Facebook groups. There was no Facebook chats. There's no, man, we had like, I'm talking, I was like in the days of almost Yahoo Messenger, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how 10 years ago was.
Newspapers, right?
Newspapers. That's what
Where
I was
do you even
buying.
get newspapers? What is that?
So what I would do is, obviously you guys are like busting through that sphere, right? You're showing them that there's a different sphere out there, and there totally is. And they need to realize that there's more to life than just, building a book of business. And as good as that is, and as good as the bonuses is, and as hard as it is to break away from those handcuffs, like just understand that there's bigger and more profitable opportunities that are at their fingertips, and that they probably don't even realize. So I would say, if they've not read those 2 books that I've already mentioned, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, grab that book. That'll change your mindset, change your limiting beliefs, take out your road barriers. And then if you want to get your staff up a level, the 7 levels of communication is great, but it was the 4-Hour Workweek that made me transition into e-commerce and online. And then, of course, obviously, we have some videos online for free, like just my name, TreyLewellen.com. It's called Unstoppable Core. And there's like 50 free videos that are just like little breakthroughs that you can see like how e-commerce is kind of put together, right? And it's just free content because at the end of the day, sometimes as an insurance agent or a loan officer or a real estate agent or whoever, you don't have the income to pay for mentors or pay for education, which is why I'm saying go buy a $20 book, because there's a lot of great information within books. And, we got some great content for free as well. I'm sure you guys too, like keep listening to your guys' podcast. That's the biggest thing. Like you guys are, showing these guys new worlds, and you're seeing for yourself new worlds, and big coots to you guys for, taking the energy of creating a podcast and going out and interviewing entrepreneurs and e-commerce owners and all these things outside the insurance world, because not only like you're doing a great service to the listeners, but you're doing an even better service to yourselves, because you're taking away your own belief systems and your own like internal struggles and saying, man, if that dude can do it, then why can't I? And you should always think that. Like I will tell you right now, I put my shorts that I'm wearing on right now on my left leg and then onto my right leg. All right. Just like you probably did. You probably started with one leg and you attached to the next leg and you put your shorts on just like me. So don't think that I'm smarter than you. I'm probably way dumber than you, right? Like you guys are probably more intelligent than I am. And so don't think it's luck or don't think it's intelligence. It's all it is action. Is taking action, going out and doing things. And that's what you guys are doing. You're creating this podcast, which is the first step to creating action, creating awareness around a new world, and then go implementing the things that you learn and sticking to it, staying in your lane, and go monetize it, right? Go make money from this stuff. And you'll see that the opportunities that are out there outweigh what I believe an insurance world can give you.
Yeah. I love it, man. Thank you so much for all this time that you spent with us. I mean, it took a lot of time out of your day today, so we really appreciate that.
Thank you, Trey.
Dude,
if we could change one life today, that'd be satisfactory.
I think you will. And the insurance industry is definitely changing. There's a lot of newer agents. There's a lot of younger agents. There's a lot of people that, older agents that might have free time on their hands. And I think that there's so much opportunity out there that it's ridiculous to not look at some of this stuff. And I love what you're doing. And I did notice, so how much are your groups? If somebody just wanted to join today to learn more, talk about like one of the groups that you have online that we can join.
Let's see. So basically, I mean, your best bet is just to do the free stuff, the Unstoppable Cores, and start there. If you love that, then you'll find other stuff that's available to you. But just start with the free stuff, Unstoppable Core. Go eat that up, binge watch that, have some fun, and then if that's cool, then talk to us about something else.
That's awesome, man. Thank you.
Perfect.
Craig, you got anything?
No, I'm good, man. I'm just soaking it all up. And the whole mentor, the idea of the mentor, I mean, many mentors out there tell the story of how they got to where they are because of their mentor. I mean, Tony Robbins, I've been to Business Mastery. I mean, Tony tells the story of where he went all in with everything to go on the plane with the billionaires, right? And he spent, 75 grand or something when he had no money. And it's the same thing. You just put it out there and it has that bounce back effect.
Yeah.
Put it out to the universe, baby.
Yeah. We'll end with this. Do you guys believe money is real?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why is it real?
Because you can do something with it. It takes you to the next. Yeah, because you can see it.
What are you looking at though? Who makes up money? Does money, like if we left this earth, would money just still do things?
Nope.
No.
Absolutely not. Like I feel that money is a made up thing. It does not exist. It does not exist. Like
it creates opportunity, right?
Could it? Possibly. I could create more opportunity without money than I can with money. Because of my services, because of my knowledge, because of what I can go out and do. Right? Money is just a predecessor to everything that I'm developing and everything that I'm creating. Like money is just like a scoreboard. Money, like we're like, I don't even have cash on me right now. Like the last time I had cash on me, I don't even know when. Like we just went through a toll booth because we had to go through Miami. And the lady's like, I said, here's my credit card. And she goes, oh, we don't take credit cards. I was like, it's your toll booth. Like it's 2019. How do you not take credit cards? She's like, we only take cash. I was like, I got no cash. I don't carry any cash. She goes, do you got coins? I was like, what's that? And she goes, well, it doesn't seem like you're going to be able to go through today. I was like, I'm just going to sit over here. She goes, well, what we can do is write an IOU where we write you a little slip.
What?
You write a check to pay back the toll booth. I said, I'm going to send you a check for $2. I said, it's going to cost me more to write you a check. And so the thing is like, when you realize like money doesn't exist, it only exists because us as humans create it to exist and we make it to exist, it becomes a different channel, right? All money is a tool. Like when you log into your bank account, you don't see money, you see numbers on a screen.
Right.
Right. If you go to the bank and you ask for those numbers on a screen, they're like, oh, sir, we can't give you those numbers for at least 7 days. And if you want those numbers, you have to fill out this 3-page piece of paper from the IRS or from the federal, whatever it is, the federal government. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Right?
Yeah.
Like, I put my money into you. Like, how do you not have the money? Like, how do you have to go get it from the reserve, right? From the Federal Reserve. And they have to do all this paperwork. And then you got the FBI on your butt asking why you taking so much money out of the account. I'm like, because it's my money. Like, because I put it in there, I think the right to take it back out. And they get all like, iffy biffy. So if you want the FBI to show up, take large sums of money out of your bank account at one time and get questioned, and then they all show up. And so the idea is like, I just want to leave you guys with like, money doesn't exist. It only exists because you allow it to exist. And when you allow yourself to have the permission, right? You give yourself permission to have more, to have that number raise and rise because you deserve it and because you desire it. That's when it happens, is when you give yourself permission for it to rise. You are where you are today because of everything you've done in the past, right? All your belief systems, where you are today, what you're looking to do tomorrow. And the only way that you can get that to rise is allowing yourself permission for it to rise. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Really appreciate it.
All right.
So awesome.
What's that?
Now you can go throw your wallet away because you're like, oh, this is fake.
Yeah. To piggyback off that, I literally will have that conversation because I never take cash anywhere. My wife gets pissed at me, and every time we'll be in a situation. Every once in a while, there's that situation where you need cash, and I don't have it, and then she gets mad at me about it and says, it's always that battle of, dude, who doesn't take cash now or credit cards nowadays? Like, who carries cash? It's crazy.
I'm to the next thing where if they don't, I don't even bring my wallet. I just use my phone. If they don't take Apple Pay, then I get pissed off at the place.
There you go. There's no money exchange anymore. It's like the casino of chips.
Boop.
Yeah.
It's your duty to make sure all the chips are in your basket and not in someone else's, right? It's your duty and your obligation to keep all the chips for your family and for yourself and for your livelihood than it is to give them to somebody else, because you know what to do with them better than someone else knows what to do with them.
Truth. Sounds good, man. Thank you so much. We really appreciate
you
amount
guys
of time
being on here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, Trey. Have a good one, man.
55% of insurance sales producers say that they have had little or no sales at training. Us agents focus on marketing to drive activity and often overlook the sales presentation. Improvements in mindset, shifting focus, rapport, needs diagnosis, value building, creating buy-in, and overcoming objections lead to drastically better closing numbers. The solution? Enroll your team in September's Sales Summit offered by Agency Vault. We will even assess your team to see which of their sales steps need the most improvement. Head to agencyvault.com to sign up before it's full.
Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.